Back stateside, and for this meet, street side. It's the most unique event of the tour. The Adidas Boost Boston Games, as some of the world's best take on the famous street meet on the banks of the Charles River in Boston, Massachusetts. The big US return of 400 meters world record holder Wade Van Niekerk, who goes over the 200 meters. The likes of Shawnee Miller-Weibo, world champion Grant Holloway, world record holder Kenny Harrison in the sprint hurdles as well. Noah Lyles goes in the 100. Daphne Skippers, Gabby Thomas, Johan Blake, some other names who we've got to look forward to, and the likes of RJ Wilson, Clayton Murphy, and Marcin Lewandowski in the road races. That is the live scene in Boston, Massachusetts. Slightly overcast, a little bit of a breeze, and that is the spectacular street-style track of the Adidas Boost Boston Games for the 5th edition. And what a sight. Unfortunately, officially locked off to spectators as part of the ongoing restrictions in the state of Massachusetts, as we crack straight on with our first event, the women's 200 meters hurdles in a straight line. Very rarely run, but that is the world leader over the more traditional 400 meters hurdles, Shamir Little, who goes in lane 3. Inside her, Ashley Spencer, the Olympic bronze medalist in Rio in the 400 meters hurdles. A 5-woman lineup for this 200 meters hurdles in a straight line. Our first event over the next 90 minutes or so. You're very welcome wherever you are watching us around the world, from myself, Chris Temple, in the company of the 6 times major medalist over 800 meters, Jenny Meadows, who we'll hear from very shortly indeed. But we pick up the live action then on Boylston Street in Boston as the athletes settle down for our first event. 200 meters hurdles in a straight line. Shianne Salmon of Jamaica furthest from the camera in lane 1. Ashley Spencer in 2. Shamir Little in 3. Ebony Morrison in lane 4, the meeting record holder, and Rhonda White of Jamaica closest to the camera. So all eyes on Shamir Little, and who's going for her 3rd win in this event, but it's Ebony Morrison who's gone out well, her meeting record of 25.8, and a real disaster for Ashley Spencer, who's pulled up. So just stuttering into that one, it's Morrison from Little as they come in towards the second half of the race now. Now Shamir Little starting to show her 400-meter strength. Also going very well on the inside, Shianne Salmon, and it's Salmon who leads. Shianne Salmon, the 22-year-old, she stumbles as well, and Shamir Little, well, that's going to be close on the line. If it hasn't gone to Shianne Salmon, it will be that last hurdle blunder, as Shamir Little finished very strongly, close on the line. But as you'd expect in an unfamiliar event, a bit of drama, Jenny Meadows.
Well, everything happened on that one, didn't it? And if I'm actually looking at that time, 24.85 seconds, I think, came up on the clock. That actually would be a world best. Looking down at the list, it's Megan Beasley from Great Britain with 25.05. So we could well have seen the fastest ever time over this event.
Well, from that angle we saw there, it looked like Shianne Salmon had got it from the angle from behind the finish line, and I can confirm she did in 24.86, but there it went wrong for Ashley Spencer. It was Ebony Morrison who got out very well in lane 4, and then unfortunately for her, she just lost her stride pattern there and clattered that one, and Shianne Salmon coming through on the inside, Shamir Little really having to work hard, and then there's that horrible stumble from Salmon. I mean, it's cost her a bit of time off that world best time, Jen, but 24.86, that was a very impressive performance from Salmon. And out of the 5 athletes, we probably wouldn't have had her as one of the leading contenders at the start of the race.
We wouldn't, and the 200-meter hurdles is an interesting one. You know, do you come at it from a sprint hurdles perspective or not? But she did great.
How strange it is to run 200-meter hurdles on an elevated track in the middle of Boston.
Well, it's very strange. This is my first time running a 200 on the straight, and the race felt like forever.
It did feel like forever. So there was a lot of moving back and forth. You were over in lane 1. How are you negotiating just each hurdle and trying to keep yourself in good position to win?
Well, my coach and I, we talked about it before I came in today because I was really nervous, but I just decided that I was going to focus on myself and my lane, and that's what I did today.
You did that. Congrats on the win, and way to get us started here in Boston.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Paul?
Well, concentrating on her own lane was probably quite a good idea there with how much was going on around her as well. But she probably thought out the corner of her eye, Jen, from lane 1 that she'd start to feel a bit of pressure from Shamir Little. But Shamir Little's been showing great form over 400. And for her on this occasion, the track just ran out too soon.
It did. And unfortunately, she didn't take the first hurdle very well. So it really upset her rhythm from the beginning. But it made me laugh. It sounds like it was a long, long way. And I think it is really difficult to keep your concentration for that 200 meters, obviously on the straight. But a great win from her.
Hiltz looking for a 2021 title.
So we're picking up here on the women's road mile. We can see that this happened just across the river earlier today. So these are the highlights of this one. We can see that it's Nikki Hiltz there in the lead. Dominic Scott, she's going well. Rebecca Marr. And I guess this feels like such a long way as well when you're just running out and you've not got those laps to tick off as you do on the track. Really interesting to see these competitors. Dominic Scott there from South Africa, she's in third place. She's better known over 5,000 and 10,000 meters, so a little bit of speed here for her. Nikki Hiltz, she's got personal best over 1,500 meters, 4:01. She represented the US 2 years ago now at that World Championships in Doha. And Rebecca Marr, she's run really well so far this year, over 800 and 1,500 meters. Got a real battle going on at the front between Marr and Hiltz. And Hiltz just looks really strong there, doesn't she? On the outside of that lane. You can see the little cones on the inside. That would be the shortest distance, but Hiltz is making sure she's not running too close to those cones. And at this point now, she's really pulling away from the rest of the field. We can see Dominic Scott there in third place from South Africa. You think that she'd have the strength towards the end of the race. And Nikki Hiltz it is, who took the win in that one from Rebecca Marr in second place. Dominic Scott in third.
Race for Nikki Hiltz.
Well, a world-leading time for Nikki Hiltz over the mile. Of course, again, not one that's raced particularly regularly, particularly on the roads at this early stage of the year. Worth pointing out, by the way, the distance event, so the 600 metres, which we'll get a look at a little bit later on, and the men's and women's mile, moved across the river, actually, to the city of Cambridge, a couple of miles away from the track on Boylston Street because of restrictions at the moment. No road races are allowed in Boston. But the city of Cambridge, which you may well know as the home of Harvard University, the rules are slightly different there. So the 600 metres and the mile able to be moved out rather than having a longer straightway and an opportunity for athletes to compete over the longer distance in the road races in Boston itself. So that is the reason why those athletes are on a road, more traditional than these guys. As you can see, the spectacular backdrop of Trinity Church behind our start line of the Adidas Boost Boston Games. And the athletes getting ready now for the men's 100 metres. There's two heats to come in the men's 100 metres, the second of which will feature a certain Noah Lyles. You can see Brandon Carnes there, who will go in lane 5 in this first heat, with the final to come on towards the end of our programme. Confirmation, by the way, that was a PB over the mile for Nikki Hiltz, just taking a second or so off her previous mark, and also for Rebecca Mera, who finished in second place, 4:31 for Hiltz, 4:33 for Mera, and Dominique Scott of South Africa, 4:35. So as we look ahead to some of the events to come later on, as we see our athletes warming up for these men's 100 heats, what are we looking forward to particularly, Jen? I mean, Miller Weibo, Grant Holloway's been in terrific form as well. A great women's 100 hurdles on the way too later.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that women's 100-metre hurdles. If you actually look, we've got some of the best competitors in the world on the world rankings. I think we've got 2 of the 3 fastest in the world over, all-time lists as well. So I think that one's a real head-to-head, and that'll kind of show us the form that a lot of the athletes are going in towards that US Olympic trials, of course.
Just looking at Isaiah Young, who will go in lane 2, the experienced athlete, 31 years of age, who's gone sub-10 this year already with a 9.99 in Mount Sac, in one of our previous Continental Tour Gold stops. He will be drawn in lane 2 for this first heat. Kendall Williams is on the right of the shot in lane 1. Isaiah Young alongside him. Kyrie King has also gone sub-10 with a lifetime best of 9.97, set in Miramar in Florida back in April. The younger of the Lyles brothers, Josephus Lyles, is on his right in lane 4, just out of shot at the moment. And Brandon Carnes of the US, closest to the camera there, in lane number 5. So 2 places up for grabs in the final later on, plus a time qualifier to make up the 5 lanes as well. Noah Lyles goes in the second of the heat shortly. He'll be up against the likes of Jalen Bacon and Mike Rogers in that second heat. But of the Adidas Boost Boston Games, it is the men's 100 metres heat number 1. away first time. So again, these athletes will have warmed up and practiced on this track, but it's all a bit different for them. Through the centre, Kyrie King, Isaiah Young now coming through, and Young will take it. Young in the end, tight for second between Josephus Lyles and Kyrie King for that second position. But Isaiah Young in the end coming through to take it, and an impressive performance. We didn't get a shot of the clock there as it stopped on the way past, but we'll bring you the time as soon as we get it. 10:15, in fact, the confirmed winning time for Isaiah Young.
Well, Isaiah Young has been in really good shape already. He was second at Mount Sac just a couple of weeks ago. We covered that here on the World Athletics live feed. He's gone sub 10 seconds already, so I guess he was the in-form athlete. Him and King came really close together, didn't they? They almost clashed arms at the beginning of that race, but he powered through all the way to the finish, and we'll look forward to seeing him go through in that final later on.
Yeah, tight in the end for the dip, on the dip for a second, wasn't it? But it just went to Josephus Lyles, who took it with 10.28 ahead of Kyrie King at 10.29. So Isaiah Young taking the first of the qualification spots. I did give you some duff information there on the qualification. It's actually the winner from both of the heats and the next three best times. So rather than 2, 2 and 1, it's 1, 1 and 3 in terms of the qualification. So Josephus Lyles will have to wait and see as we see the location of our sprint track at the Adidas Boost Boston Games on Boylston Street. The location, the same location as the Boston Marathon finish line, which of course, unfortunately, had to be delayed until October. And this is exactly where it is on the street. Some of the big landmarks, Trinity Church just on the right there of the finish line. Boston Public Library up the other end of the street, just out of shot there to the left-hand side. The building just on the very left edge of the straightway. A famous street in terms of thousands upon thousands to come through. We've seen some pretty inclement weather conditions over the last few years in the Boston Marathon as well. And that will be on the 11th of October this year. Huge sporting city, of course, Boston, with the Red Sox, the big guns, if you like, of the city. Fenway Park, the oldest ballpark in the Major League. The Boston Celtics basketball, the Boston Bruins ice hockey. And of course, not too far away in Foxborough, Massachusetts, the home of the New England Patriots NFL team as well. So Boston is a truly famous sporting city, but this event certainly something a little bit different. The Adidas Boost Boston Games is a street meet concept, of course, usually gives fans opportunities to get up close and personal, often for free, to watch athletes close up. This is the 5th edition of the Adidas Boost Boston Games, and it really is genuine. We've both been at street meets in the past with athletes of this caliber, and you know, if you're a young athletics fan, what an opportunity to get as close as you'll ever get to these guys and girls.
Absolutely, and you know, they'd never get the opportunity, like you say, Chris, you know, unless you actually go into the stadium. But sometimes in events like this, people are just passing and they don't even know the event is on, and all of a sudden they can actually see world-class athletes. We just saw Shawnee Miller-Weibo there warming up. She goes in the 200 meters soon. And I think a lot of the athletes just really enjoy these meets. Of course, they're bothered about times. Of course, they want to beat each other, but it's a lot of fun. And, you know, the feedback is a lot of the athletes want to be here. They appreciate, you know, competing out on the street, and what a lineup they've managed to assemble here for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Important part of the Tokyo preparations, just getting yourself in the mind for different kinds of competition, different kinds of conditions, unfamiliar circumstances, as we zoom in on Noah Lyles, the world champion over 200 meters, who was initially entered in the 150 meters that we'll see a bit later on, but he basically decided he wanted to get a bit more race sharpness over 100 meters, chatting through with his coaching team, and they've decided to go for the 100, something a bit more traditional and familiar, aiming to double up, of course, at Tokyo, as we see Demek Kemp, who's in lane 2. Mike Rogers was due to be in lane 5, but on that camera shot, I didn't see him, I must admit, in lane 5, unless he just disappeared out of the corner of the picture for a moment. So Jalen Bacon on the inside, 10.18 man this year. Demek Kemp, so Mike Rogers isn't there in lane 5. Noah Lyles in 3, and Nickel Ashmead, another of the experienced Jamaicans, Olympic relay champion from Rio, twice a world relay medalist as well. His sub-10-second PB goes all the way back to 2013. So 10.15 was the winning mark set down by Isaiah Young in these slightly unfamiliar conditions. A bit breezy, as you can see from the advertising banners on the outside as well for the athletes. Bacon on the far side in 1, Kemp, Lyles and Ashmead. So what has Noah Lyles got here? Demek Kemp was away very well indeed, but Noah Lyles, who Hasn't performed maybe quite as much as well as he wanted to over 100 metres. Coming through strongly late on there to take it ahead of Jalen Bacon. That's an impressive time for Noah Lyles. He stopped the clock at 10.03 in these unfamiliar conditions, and I think, this being a heat, Jenny Meadows, he'll be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, definitely. It was faster than that first heat, wasn't it? 10.03, that's actually a season's best for him. He has raced a couple of times so far this season over that distance. 10.08 has been his best time so far. We see how much power these guys generate from the blocks, having to have the young athletes stand on the back of them to make sure that they don't actually push back off them too much and they don't slide. But it was Kemp who got a really good start, wasn't it, there in lane 2. But Noah Lyles now at this stage, the halfway mark, that high step of his looks really smooth as he comes all the way to the finish. And 10.03, we'd love to see a sub-10 clocking in that final.
Well, you never quite know, do you, with these the sort of temporary tracks, and this track obviously is one that's been used before in this event. As we say, this is the 5th edition of this event. They haven't all been in Boston City Centre itself. Some of them have been, or one of them's been down the road in Somerville back in 2017. As we see the qualifications there, the Qs, the capital Qs, Noah Lyles and Isaiah Young, the heat winners, and the 3-time qualifiers are Bacon, Ashmead, and Josephus Lyles. So the Lyles family will have 40% of the field in the final. A little bit later on, one of our penultimate events. But yeah, just going back to the track surface, Jen, as you can just about pick up there on the edge of the track, it's basically metal scaffolding at the bottom, and then it's 3 inches or so of plastic all interlocked together, and then the Mondo track laid on the top of it as well. Now, of course, the road surface itself might not be, you know, dead flat. There might be a couple of undulations, as you can just see one on the outside of lane 5 there, can't you, in front of the hurdle, as we pick up from a little bit earlier on the men's mile. And again, a bigger field for this one, the men's mile, as we saw in the women's race a little bit earlier on. And among those to the fore, Erica Avila, and also Jordan Guzman of Malta at this stage. Sam Parsons of Germany on the inside, hugging the curb. This is where those members of the public you can see are out and about for a walk in the Boston sunshine. Due to about 30 degrees Celsius or so in Boston today, so pretty warm conditions for these guys taking on the mile. Just tucked in behind at the moment, Clayton Murphy, who is on the right of the shot there in the blue kit. Marcin Lewandowski, you can see in the, you can't quite see now, he's in that camouflage kit, sort of the bottle green. He's covered up in about 6th position, just on the right-hand side of the shot now. But Napolitano, Rob Napolitano of Puerto Rico, injecting the pace here. Clayton Murphy trying to go with him, Lewandowski the same. But Napolitano really stretching them out here. Can anybody come out of that pack to chase him? Lewandowski's trying to find himself a little bit of racing room to get through the pack, but he's at the moment shielded by Murphy. So Napolitano, it was a bold move, but now he's starting to get engulfed by that chasing pack. We know that Lewandowski is a master tactician over the 1,500 metres. Now the chase is on. Clayton Murphy's got moving. That's Sam Prakel on the right-hand side in the black vest as well. Up towards the line, it's Murphy who takes it in the end, just about with a very well-timed finish, overhauling Napolitano in the closing stages. Prakel came through for second. The 4:01. Reasonable time in the hot conditions as well for some of these guys who've been sharpening up over a variety of distances. 800s, 1500s on the track as well. But that was how the men's road mile panned out a little bit earlier on. You're live with us on the World Athletics Continental Tour Gold, the 2021 Adidas Boost Boston Games. With the 2 heats of the men's 100 metres done, the barriers are back out because it's the men's turn to go 200-metre hurdles in a straight line on this occasion. If we have anything like the thrills and spills and drama we had in the women's race, Jenny, this will be another entertaining 20-odd seconds.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Alison dos Santos from Brazil, he's going in this one. He set a national record, I think, just a few days ago, actually, when he actually raced in Mount Sac. And we're really excited about his talent. He looks like he's going really, really well. And I think the 200-metre hurdles is a great event because it brings some people up from the sprint equivalent and it brings some people down, obviously, from the 400-metre hurdles. And we saw in the women's event, it was really, really close, but it was those 400-metre hurdlers who had that little bit extra strength towards the end. So, yeah, really looking forward to seeing the clash. Maybe TJ Holmes as well, another athlete to look out for on this one.
Yeah, there is Alison dos Santos, just 20 years of age, but has made an impression in the early stages of this year. His first major senior championships at a global level was in Doha in 2019 when he finished 7th in the final. But of course, this event, well, I say this event, the men's 400 meters hurdles, it's all on at the front, isn't it? We haven't even seen Karsten Warholm open his 2021 yet outdoors. The likes of Rai Benjamin, even Kyron McMaster has been running very well as we pick up TJ Holmes, who you mentioned, Jen. He finished 5th in that final, a couple of places ahead of Alison dos Santos in the Doha World Championship final. He also finished 5th in the World Championship final in 2017 in London as well. So 2 good final performances for him over the last couple of championships, as Quincy Hall, the NCAA champion from 2019 for the University of South Carolina, is on the right of the shot there in lane 1. TJ Holmes in 2, Alison dos Santos, the Pan American champion, is in 3. Alongside him is the man he beat to the Pan American Games 400 hurdles title, Amir Latin, World Under-20 Championship silver medalist over 110 hurdles. So he does have a bit of a mixed ability over various distances, and closest to the camera is CJ Allen of the USA. The men's 200 meters hurdles, working towards the camera, Hall, Holmes, dos Santos, Latin and Allen. The one thing to say about dos Santos is we do see him come strongly late in the 400 meters. So you would think that this might be a little bit on the sharp side for him. But let's wait and see. Men's 200 meters hurdles in a straight line. So dos Santos will have to get into his running a little bit quicker than he does usually, and Latin and dos Santos. CJ Allen started boldly out on lane 5 as well. Now dos Santos with that big stride started to come through, but still CJ Allen going well. Latin probably just about at this stage. Latin from dos Santos now, who's challenging these two very, very tight in the air together. Dos Santos coming through late on, probably just about got there. Alison dos Santos, that late strength, good enough over the 200 meters hurdles to pip Latin.
That's the closest finish we've had so far, isn't it? And I think you are right, dos Santos did just get that on the line. It's a shame that the clock didn't stop, because I'm eagerly looking at my statistics sheet. 22.10 is the world best by Andy Turner and LJ Van Zyl. So I think they were pretty close to that one. But it was Latin who started really well, and he was strong all the way to the finish. You did say, Chris, that dos Santos does come through towards the end of that race, and he had to work off that final barrier, and he did just get his chest ahead on the line.
And 22.12 was the confirmed winning time for Alison dos Santos, so just outside that world best from Great Britain's Andy Turner. Latin 22.18 ahead of CJ Allen, who finished in 3rd there with 22.58. But dos Santos, some good speed work for him, and certainly he is going to be in the medal shake-up by the look of it if he continues his progression.
America, and so English may be a little bit tough. I don't speak Portuguese, but we'll try. You have a great smile, man, and you had a great race. What was it like to run this 200 meters straight over the hurdles?
And I like so much because I'm not so fast, you know.
Yes.
In 400 meters hurdles, the second part is my best, and I try to do my best, and I feel very blessed.
Yes, and what would it be like to make your first Olympic team go to Tokyo for Brazil?
I'm very happy because I am young, and I want to be better.
You will be there for sure. Congratulations, and I'll say one word I know. Obrigado.
Yes, thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, man, great job. Okay.
Lewis Johnson of NBC there doing the interview duty for us. I've got to say, my Portuguese isn't a lot better than Lewis's. How's yours, Jen?
Well, I was going to say that's about as much as I know, so I'm glad he was doing the interview, not me.
Alison dos Santos, by the way, does have the Olympic qualifying standard in the 400 hurdles of 47.68, which he achieved in Mount Sac in on the Continental Tour Gold. There are 2 Brazilians who have that qualifying mark. Marcio Teles is the other one. As we pick up highlights from earlier on, the women's 600 meters.
This is a good one, and I've been looking at the field for this one, and I thought, wow, there's talent all around. So we're really looking forward here to seeing RJ Wilson. She's won 2 World Championship medals. 61, so she is about as good as it gets in this event. We think she's going to be challenged maybe by Natalia Gould from Jamaica. She herself made that World Championship final over the 800 metres, but she's really quick. She's more of a 400, 800 metre athlete. So could that 600 metres be her absolute perfect distance? And we're also looking forward to watching Ali Wilson here. She's gone under 2 minutes for the first time so far this year with a 1:59.68, just fractionally outside that Olympic qualification. But it is RJ who has gone to the front. She looks like she's absolutely not going to wait for anybody here. She'll be well aware of Gould's strength as well as her speed. Really interesting to see the difference in techniques. Gould actually runs with her head almost back. She looks like she's really hanging on to this pace, but as I say that, she actually takes the lead. So this would be a great win if Gould can hang on to this one. Indeed she does, and she gets a win by maybe 5 meters by the end of that one. From Wilson in second place, and I actually think it was Ali Wilson in third. So great win there, Natalia Gould from Jamaica taking the win in the 600 metres. And that's a big win ahead of RJ Wilson from the US, who maybe was the favourite before that race started.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Jen, it was starting to lay down here, wasn't it? As you say, the all-out, it's eyeballs out, isn't it, from Natalia Gould. And RJ Wilson just didn't have a response. Gould just kept on going away from her as Wilson started to tie up in the closing stages. So you'd imagine, you know, Jenny, 800 metres is your event, stepping up from 400 early in your career, but 600 is something that will be done in training a lot, but not often competitively.
No, and definitely not in a straight line. It would have felt a long way, but 1:24 world lead. Of course, it's not run very often, but 1:24 is really going some. So that is definitely equivalent to maybe 1:57, 1:58. So great run there.
We see a lot of these events, some halfway houses. We're going to see the women's 150 metres in a moment, which again is a strength-based endurance event for the 100-metre runners and a bit on the sharper side for the 200. But the 600 metres particularly, although it's halfway between 400 and 800, it's an 800-metre runners event, isn't it? The 400-metre runners don't fancy 600.
No, a 400-metre runner doesn't really want to run a 500. So, yeah, it definitely suits the 800-metre athletes. And, you know, two of the best athletes in the world there going head-to-head early in the season in this showcase event. I really enjoyed that one.
So we're looking at the athletes for the women's 150 metres then, and we say this falls halfway between for a lot of these athletes. Well, Brittany Brown in shot there is the World Championship silver medalist behind Dina Asher-Smith in Doha in 2019 in the 200 metres. She's run an 11.28 100 metres. Sorry, she's run an 11.33 100 metres this year. Her best performance over 200 this year has been a windy 22.39. She's also run a 400 this year as well, so she really has gone across the range. Ashley Henderson's on the right of the shot there. Brittany Brown in 2. Lina Irby in 3, who's also run over 200, 300 and 400 already this year. And Desiree Bryant, the World Championship relay bronze medalist for the US on the outside in lane 4. She ran a busy indoor season. She's been going over 60 and 100. This will be the furthest that she's run. Outside of a 200 metres that she competed in Gainesville in Florida. So Henderson on the right, Brown, Irby and Bryant. Starter not happy with the settling down for that one. As we said, there's a bit of a breeze knocking around there. So again, for the likes of Brittany Brown, there is a 200 metres in a straight line to come. Shawnee Miller-Weibo will go in that one up against Wadeline Jonathas. So Jonathas, a 400 metres specialist really, whereas Miller-Weibo is confirmed that she's stepping down to the 200 for the Olympics, as the athletes are shown the green card for the unsatisfactory start. So no issues with anybody there. And we settle down again in the Continental Tour Gold at the Adidas Boost Boston Games. This is the women's 150 metres. Ashley Henderson of the USA in 1, Brittany Brown in 2, Lina Irby in 3, Desiree Bryant in 4. This time they go. Well, Brittany Brown has probably got the best 100 metres form out of the protagonists in this, and Lina Irby is up on her at this stage. Desiree Bryant hugging right on the outside of her lane at the moment, but it's Irby from Brown, and Irby moving away actually in the closing stage to take it by half a metre or so in the end. Lina Irby clocking in at 16.53. They're running into a slight headwind of 1.5. I say slight, a decent headwind of 1.5 meters per second. But Irby takes it from Brittany Brown, Bryant and Henderson.
She is the informed athlete. Looking at her results, we've commentated on her twice already. She was second over the 400 meters in Eugene, so we know she's strong, and she needed all of that strength the last quarter of this race, that last 50 meters, to hold off Brown. She's already clocked 50.28 this season, and she came third in Mount Sac over 200 meters, 22.27 seconds, just fractionally away from her personal best. And she looks like she started 2021 in great form. I'm sure she's got a decision to make, whether she tries to make that US Olympic team over 2 or 4, but she's got options.
Certainly has. 16.53 for Lina Irby.
But what did you know? What do you know about the 150? It's a strange distance to run.
Yes, it is. Well, a lot of people would consider me like a 400-meter runner, but I always kind of have to correct it. I'm a sprinter.
Yes.
This was like 100, so just get out like you would in 100.
Right, right. And so did that quarter-mile strength kick in over the end?
It definitely did, probably like the last 50 meters. Once people realize that this isn't 100, you're going to have a little bit more endurance.
All righty. Excited about the next few weeks in the Olympic trials coming up?
Of course I am.
All righty. Big dreams. What are you going to do?
The 2 and the 4.
2 and the 4. There it is. The double is coming. Paul?
Lewis Johnson there with, he probably got a better answer to that question than I think he was hoping for. I think he probably was thinking, what are you going to do in terms of, I'm going to go really well. And she revealed she's going to do the double. So got a good news line out of her there as well.
He did well, didn't he? And, you know, I was only just saying, I wonder what, you know, she's got options. I wonder what she wants to do. But, yeah, she's got options, and she wants to take them both, which is great to hear.
The men's 600 meters with 4 athletes involved. Marco Arup, the Pan American champion on the left in the black. Jamie Webb of Great Britain alongside him. We also have Josh Hoey and Sam Ellison as well, taking on this men's 600 meters. And again, these are the 800 meters guys. Bryce Hoppel and Michael Saruni were also due to be listed in this event, but unfortunately they were DNSs. So Marco Arup of Canada finished 7th in the World 800 meters final, won by Donovan Brazier. And he, the tall figure, is at the front at the moment. Ellison on the right of the shot on the inside. Josh Hoey of the USA, the 21-year-old, and Jamie Webb, who's been in great form, actually, the British athlete, the European indoor silver medalist from the championships earlier on this year. But it's Marco Arup at the moment, still laying it down. Went for gold, went for the finish line pretty early on. At the moment, nobody's got near him. It's been Arup from the start. Now Jamie Webb coming through between athletes, but it looks like he's surely got too much to do to reel in Marco Arup in the closing stages here. And Marco Arup comes up to the line to take it in the end. And Webb and Ellison tight for second in the end, ahead of Josh Hoey. But Marco Arup, they didn't see him.
No, that's one way to do it, isn't it? You know, it looked like just a long sprint. You know, a lot of the sprinters are saying 200 meters is a long way in a straight line, but my goodness, 600 meters, I'm sure that just felt like forever for those athletes. But Arup, he just really set his stall out really early on, a huge win for him. He is, like you say, Chris, a World Championship finalist. He's got a personal best of 1:44.14. And he's already started with a sub 1:45 this year, so he obviously thought, I'm in great shape, let's just go for it.
So 1:15, the world lead. That's again not necessarily a huge badge to have in terms of, yeah, it's great to be the fastest person in the world this year, but when the event isn't run that often, it won't mean a huge amount to him, I'm sure, but the performance will. No doubt about that. Marco Arup, even though 1 or 2 of the big names that he was hoping to line up against weren't there in the end, you can only beat what's lined up alongside you. And Jamie Webb, he certainly had an athlete who's been in good form over 800 meters. 1:15 for Arup, 1:16 for Ellison and Webb, and 1:17 for Josh Hoey. Good weather conditions in Boston for this 5th staging of the Adidas Boost Boston Games, live on the World Athletics YouTube channel, wherever you're joining us, beaming to 130 countries around the world as well. And a huge pat on the back, by the way, to Mark Wetmore and the team from Global Athletics who've got this event on, because there have been an enormous amount of challenges, obviously, with COVID restrictions. Massachusetts as a state is a little bit behind some of the other states in terms of opening up. The rules actually change in 7 days from now. So if this event was a week later, they probably would have been allowed to have some spectators. But officially, no spectators allowed, unfortunately, because of the current protocols in the area and the restrictions of the location as well. On Boylston Street, there needs to be fire access and things. And that is the reason there's no field events, by the way, attached to the Adidas Boost Boston Games this year. And the reason that the distance events that we've been seeing have had to be moved over the Charles River to the city of Cambridge. So field events, I'm sure, will be back, and they're often a very entertaining part of these street meets. We've seen pole vault in Zurich main station. We've seen shot put in Stockholm and Horse Guards Parade in London, the Great City Games, which were, again, one of the early pioneering meets, I guess, in Manchester and in Newcastle in the UK. Brussels have had a go at street meets as well. But certainly in the US, this is the big one, the Adidas Boost Boston Games. And those temperatures, it's a huge shame there aren't any spectators, because it looks like a lovely day for spectating close up. And as we say, I'm sure you'll back it up, Jen, just a huge pat on the back for the organisers to have got this as far through as they've managed to do.
Yeah, and I think, week by week, the organisers were wondering, whether the athletes would be able to turn up, what the restrictions would be, obviously, in the city. And just even erecting the track, it takes such a long time to work out, when the track can be there. And, of course, we can actually see, it's getting quite windy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
More windy than it was at the beginning of the meet. But I think after what happened last year, all the athletes will take every opportunity they can to, take part in these high-class meetings. And I'm really glad the athletes have backed this one up. It shows there's a desire, there's an appetite to compete, and an absolute great city to compete in as well.
Yeah, of course, a lot of the Adidas athletes are competing in this Adidas-sponsored event. There were due to be talking to one or two colleagues in the US, saying there's due to be some thunderstorms maybe at around about the time of some of these big races, and I just wonder whether those trees rattling could be bringing something in that we don't want. But at the moment, the wind is the only issue for the athletes. If anybody caught the Wanda Diamond League coverage, the opening meet from Gateshead in the United Kingdom, well, the conditions there were about as bad as you can get, I think. I think we probably saw that coming slightly. But anyway, back to the matter in hand, which is the men's 150 metres in a straight line. And the biggest name is that man, no doubt about it, in lane 3, Johan Blake, on the comeback trail again. He's had injury issues, of course. The two-time world champion over the sprint distance of 100 and the relay in 2011. Olympic Games silver medalist from London, and 4th placer in Rio. There's Jareem Richards of Trinidad and Tobago, the world bronze medalist over 200 metres in London 2017. He's been in some decent form as well. Maurice Eady is on the right of the shot in lane 1. He's dropped a 10.29 100 metres this year. Richards in 2, Johan Blake in 3. Then it's Andrew Hudson in 4. And John Okoye making his 2021 debut. The Nigerian is in lane 5. Johan Blake, who does have the Olympic qualifying standard in the 100 metres and the 200 metres, so has options depending on how the Jamaican champs go. But how will he go here in over 150 metres? Well, it is good to see Johan Blake back competing at the top level, but he's got Hudson right up with him at the moment, and on the inside also Eady is going well at this stage, but Johan Blake now coming through, and also Richards starting to get into his stride as well. It's Richards from Blake at this stage, and Richards takes it, tight for second between Blake and Hudson. Johan Blake was managing that race pretty well up till about halfway, and then Jareem Richards, the taller figure, that long stride came through, and the world bronze medalist from 2017 took it in ultimately comfortable style, you'd say.
Yeah, I think Richards was their favoured athlete, going on form the last few years. But I actually was really impressed with Johan Blake. We know he's had injury problems the last few years, and it's hard for a sprinter to keep your body together, but he started well. And I would only say it's the last 20 metres where he probably just run out with a little bit of steam, a little bit of that competitive rustiness. He had to run off, but yeah, great run there from Richards to take the win, and Johan Blake is on his way back.
14.75, the winning time for Jareem Richards. Johan Blake, 14.94.
Because they could hear that comment and love to hear from you, Paul. So, Jareem, give us an idea of what was the key here toward the end of this race.
The key for me today was just to stay patient, trust in my dry phase, and hold my form coming home. I know I'm strong, so I was just focusing on trying to finish strong and hold my form together.
from where we are today, close to getting closer to the Olympic Games, what's the journey been like, man? From being stuck to being unstuck to being with your teammates, now running fast, just a short time away from the Olympic Games.
The best way for me to explain it, it was definitely a struggle, but I used that struggle to turn it into a blessing. And right now, I'm just blessed to be running track. Thank you to my family and friends for supporting me, and all praise to God.
All righty, Jareem. Good job today.
Thank you.
Okay.
Jareem Richards, who's part of the Lance Brownman group in Florida with Noah Lyles and Shawnee Miller-Weaver as well, so he's in good company. Quite a few of them involved today. An impressive performance from the Trinidad and Tobago athlete over 150 metres as we see Shawnee Miller-Weaver, who is in our next event, which will be the women's 200 metres in a straight line. These some shots from earlier on with Noah Lyles just striding along. Weather looked a little bit stiller when Shawnee Miller-Weaver was going for a track wander earlier on, but really exciting to see what she can do. She's been in absolutely cracking form early in 2021.
Yeah, she's opened up really well, already 22.03 for the 200 metres. And her 400 metres for me, Chris, in Eugene, you know, she ran 49.08, and it has to be said it wasn't the best of days weather-wise. It's the fastest she's ever opened up with. I think she even surprised herself. So really great to see her going over this traditional distance of 200 metres, and let's see what she can do.
So these are the overall women's rankings. But that 200 metres is coming up in a few minutes, by the way. The women's overall world rankings. Now, this is where the world rankings have their benefit, if you like, because it enables you to compare athletes from different events. You can see there, by virtue of their performance and ranking score on the right-hand side. So Sifan Hassan is well clear at the moment. The rankings are decided over a 12, 18-month period, depending on which event you are in. And it basically takes the average of your best 5 performances. Now, the way those scores are worked out are via various scoring tables, but basically championship performances, Olympic Games and World Championships, those performances carry higher weighting, higher value, if you like. Where you finish in races carries a higher value. And obviously, if you compete in the Diamond League circuit regularly or Continental Tour Gold regularly, then they are better meetings, you're getting better scores. And as a result of that, that is how you get yourself up the ranking. So it's really interesting to see Sifan Hassan. What that's telling us, Jenny, is that Sifan Hassan at the moment is the best female athlete across all disciplines in the world.
And it's really interesting, isn't it, to have a look at that. I quite like it. I think there'll be some competitiveness between some of the events. And of course, they're all worked out on a ratio in comparative to each other. But looking at that, we have got Shawnee Miller-Weaver here, and we have got Danielle Williams. She's 9th place there, the Jamaican in the 100-metre hurdles. We've got, according to that list, 2 of the top 10 athletes, female athletes in the world in this meeting. And again, that just shows the high caliber of athletes that this meet director has been able to get, which is fantastic.
And it is fascinating, isn't it? Because when you talk about if you say like the athletes laying down the top performances at the moment, Shawnee Miller-Weaver, you would say, is worth a lot more than 7th, isn't it? But the way those scores are worked out at the moment, you know, she's finding herself a little bit down the list.
Yeah, I've not actually got the ranking list to see what she's ranked in the world over 200 metres and 400 metres. I presume 1st or 2nd. And
I'll find that out for you. Keep
go
talking,
on,
I'll find
keep
it out for
talking.
you.
You have a look. I know you like a stat, Chris, but yeah, it is really interesting. And you know, Hassan, what she did in Doha, doing that double, and it was a really unique double, doing the 1,500 metres and the 10,000 metres. You know, what a great athlete. Normally, traditionally, it would be 8 and 15 or 15 and 5, but to do that 15 and the 10, I think she warrants that top of the world ranking.
Well, she's number 2 in the 200 metres, I can tell you, behind Dina Asher-Smith. In the individual 200 metres, it's Asher-Smith, Miller-Weaver and Kambunji. They're the top 3 in the women's 200 metres. So the world champion being top of the tree in this event is probably makes sense, doesn't it? In the 400 metres, well, it's the same. Salwa Aid Nasser, the world champion, is world number 1 in the rankings, and Shawnee Miller-Weaver is world number 2. So to be ranked number 2 in the 200 and the 400, she's doing something right, isn't she?
She is doing something right, absolutely. And 7th overall in the world is fascinating. But great to hear that she's decided what she wants to do in the Tokyo Olympic Games. She's laid her marker down. She's already committed to what she wants to do, which is great. And, you know, I think sometimes athletes could go over different distances in this event. You know, she could have took the 100 metres or she could have took the 150. But she says that she likes going over 200 metres in a straight line. She's a tall athlete. Maybe she can just negotiate, you know, the straight line better than the bend, of course. So really looking forward to seeing what she can do on this one.
Yeah, and of course people will say, well, you run bends in 400 metres as well, but of course you don't run them quite as fast in a 400 metres, do you, as you need to in a 200?
No, that's right, and she is a tall athlete, and maybe just that straight, she can really get her legs going and really flow.
We saw a little shot of Grant Holloway there, the world champion and the world indoor record holder over the 60 metres hurdles. He'll be coming up in the men's 110 hurdles. The sprint hurdles are due next, but this is the women's 200 metres straight, and as Jenny mentioned, Shawnee Miller-Uibo, the Olympic champion over 400 metres, has professed that she does prefer the 200 in a straight line rather than round the curve. So despite the blustery conditions today, let's see what she can do. She does have the world best time of the 200 metres in a straight line. Not a world record, of course, because it's an uncharacteristic event, if you like. It's an unofficial event, so it's just a world best time, it's called. 21.76. Radeline Jonathas, the 4th placer in the world 400 metres final. Finished a couple of places behind Miller-Uibo, but she did anchor the US relay team to 4x4 gold in Doha. So this is going to be on the quick side for her as well. Courtney Johnson on the inside, who's had a couple of 100 and 200 performances already this year. Tania Gaither of the Bahamas, the Pan American bronze medalist, has been in good form as well. She's in lane 4. And Michelle Lee Ai, who finished 6th in the 100 and the 200 in the 2016 Olympics for Trinidad and Tobago. She's on the outside in lane 5. But all eyes on what Miller-Uibo can do here, the Olympic champion in the 400 over the straight 200. Well, it's certainly an intimidating sight for the athletes either side of her, not just because of a tall physical stature and that upright running style as well, but certainly Johnson on the inside has gone out particularly hard, and Liahi closest to the camera as well on the left of shot, but Miller-Uibo now flowing beautifully through the second half of the race. 21.76, her previous best time. It's going to be just outside that on this occasion, easing up towards the line. 22.08 for Shawnee Miller-Uibo, who shakes her head after a time just outside 22 seconds.
Yeah, that shows the calibre of athlete that she's disappointed with a 22.08 seconds. But she just looks so relaxed and so under control when she runs. If we look at the contrast of some of the other athletes are working really, really hard. But Shawnee, she has that obviously really tall frame that she can use, and just really, really an athlete who's at the top of her game. And I'm really excited for that 200 metres in Tokyo. Of course, she'll take on the reigning world champion, Dina Asher-Smith, and she'll take on Brittany Brown, hopefully from the US. She got the silver medal 2 years ago at the World Championships. And yes, it's just one of those events where you can't wait to see all the best women in the world in their best shape and just really look forward to the outcome of that one.
Can I throw a couple more names in? Sha'Carri Richardson, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, Elaine Thompson. I mean, even definitely skippers you have to throw in. I mean, we're due to see her in a short while as well. The women's 200, as you say, with Dina Asher-Smith, the defending world champion, having beaten Sha'Carri Richardson over 100 metres today. The women's 200 really does look a stacked event, as we're going to hear from Shawnee Miller-Uibo with Lewis Johnson.
Alrighty, up after just a blow of air there. Shawnee, how do you continue to live up to just being the best, the fastest, the one expected to win all the time?
I just give all the thanks and praise to God. You know, whatever I do in His name, and so every time I step out on the track, I just want to do my best and just have fun with it.
It's still early. We have a couple of months before everybody gets on the line in Tokyo, but what are your thoughts on a day-to-day basis about just performing there once again and hoping to come away with gold in the 200 meters?
I'm really excited for it. Training's going well. Last few weeks we've been dealing with a little bit of minor injuries, but we're getting through it and just taking everything one step at a time. And assuming Michael, your husband, will compete for Estonia as well, as yes. He's okay, doing good? Yes, he's actually headed up to Gutsies this weekend. So. Okay, good stuff. Family affair for you guys. Thanks so much. Thank you. Paul?
So she's thrown down a 22.08 with a couple of minor injuries hampering her as well. So we're easing up to the line pretty much as well. She shut it down with a few meters to go there. So there's certainly some signs that her, the word I'm looking for is her closest pursuers, I think, is probably the right word. Will be certainly a little bit concerned to see. That's the 4th victory, by the way, in this event. She won the 200 in 2017 when the event was staged in a different location across the river in Somerville. She won the 150 metres in 2018 and 2019. And now she takes the 150 metres again, the 200 metres again in 2021 as the hurdles are replaced and restaged for the women's 100 metres hurdles. And 2 fascinating sprint hurdles events coming up now, Jenny. And this one we see in the centre there Kenny Harrison in the pink, the world record holder, who again has been in really, really consistently good form in the last few weeks.
She has, and she's been in consistently good form for a number of years. I was looking down the Diamond Leagues, and she's actually won 14 individual Diamond League events over the last few years, which is absolutely staggering. So that actually shows the dominance that she has had in this event. But she's up against, she won't have it easy. She's up against Danielle Williams. She was a surprise winner back at Beijing in 2015, and she placed third as well in Doha just 2 years ago. Well, these are fascinating scenes, aren't they?
Yeah, this is definitely speeded up. This is the superb effort from all of the team involved in the meet to get this stage put together, the track put together. I mentioned all that interlocking plastic they've erected on the metal scaffolding. Then they lay the Mondo track as well, and there are all sorts of temperature issues as well. It can get too hot and the track starts to bubble. So there are obviously a number of factors, but 21 hours it takes to build the track. They have to drop the middle section in last as well. There's a bit of warm-up room behind that advertising board you can see there, where the athletes limber up. They have to drop the middle section in last because they need to leave one of the traffic junctions open until the very last minute. But 21 hours it takes, and a pretty speedy procedure, as you could see. Obviously speeded up, but the team worked from 6 o'clock in the evening a couple of days ago to get it all ready to go. And the athletes are certainly producing some fast times. And the one thing you can say is sometimes in these kind of conditions where things are a little bit different, you do see the times suffer. But Noah Lars has thrown down a 10-0 and bits 100 metres. Shawnee Miller-Weibo a 22-0 200 metres. So the times don't seem to be suffering too much into a bit of a headwind.
No, those are the sort of times that you would expect if this was actually on a traditional, track and field venue. So, yeah, 10.03, 22.03. You would expect, Diamond Leagues to be winning this. Definitely the Continental Tour Gold meetings. So, yeah, it's a little bit chilly. It's a little bit windy, but these athletes are obviously in great form, and the track looks like it's quick.
Well, some terrific performances already here on the Continental Tour Gold as part of the World Athletics series of events, and great that this meeting has the World Athletics Continental Tour Gold tag still attached to it, despite the obvious challenges in not only holding the event in the middle of a city, in the middle of a pandemic, but also to get the quality of athletes from across the US and slightly further afield in some cases as well. The 5-woman lineup for the women's 100 metres hurdles on the right there in the sky blue. That's Peyton Chadwick in lane 1. She has a Diamond League meeting win to her name over the 100 metres hurdles. Danielle Williams, the 2015 world champion, currently ranked world #1, actually, Danielle Williams, by virtue of her performances over the last couple of years. This is her outdoor season opener. Kenny Harrison, world ranked #2. Her only outdoor competition over in 2020 was over 150 metres, incidentally, so over an unfamiliar distance. But the world indoor champion in 2018, the world silver medalist in 2019 behind Nia Ali. We mentioned her consistency: 12.54, 12.38 windy, 12.48, 12.53 and 12.48. I mean, those are a great series of times over the last 5 or 6 meets. So Harrison's in 4. Toby Amusan, the African champion from 2019 and also the Commonwealth Games champion from the Gold Coast. She's well ranked 4. And on the right-hand side of the 5, left as we look, is Christina Clemens, world indoor silver medalist, behind Kenny Harrison in Birmingham 2018. She's world ranked 6th. Sharika Nelvis was a withdrawal from this. So of the 5 ladies lining up here, we have world ranked 1, 2, 4 and 6, which will tell you the quality that we have in this Adidas Boost Boston Games women's 100 metres hurdles. And for these athletes, we've seen a lot of them running over unfamiliar distances. This, for these ladies, is the bread and butter. Kenny Harrison, the world champion, sorry, the world record holder, the world indoor champion. Season's best is 12.48. Her 12.38 performance was windy in Austin, Texas. Certainly she'll be looking to use this as another step forward in what has been an excellent season for her so far. So Chadwick in 1, Williams in 2, Kenny Harrison in 3, Amusan in 4, Clemens in 5. Interesting to see where Danielle Williams is at in this her outdoor season opener. away they go. Kenny Harrison, unsurprisingly, the first to rise and leads at this stage. Clemens also starting strongly, but it's Kenny Harrison through the middle, looking powerful, powering up to the line. That's a superb performance. 12:49, another top-rate effort from Kenny Harrison to beat off a strong field here with ease.
Yeah, and that's still one of the fastest times in the world so far this year. So another indication that the weather's good, the track is quick. They don't wait long, do they? They're off the track in no time, but Kenny Harrison coming back, and we're going to be able to have a quick interview with her soon. So she did start well in the middle lane there. Christina Clemens started well also on the outside. But I think this win was never in doubt. Really clean hurdling there. Danielle Williams just finding it hard. She hit a few, didn't she? And didn't really get into a rhythm. But this is another really good shot here. Looking at Kenny Harrison in the middle lanes. Really clean race. Big smile across her face as she does cross the line, and she'll be really pleased with that 12.49 seconds.
Yeah, Amerson finished strongly as well to come through beyond Clemens for 12:62. You're right, Danielle Williams was rusty, wasn't she? Didn't get her hurdling quite right.
A meet record to go with it, Kenny. You must love that. So another step forward. Your thoughts on this race today?
I think I came out here and I got the job done. You know, my coach wanted me to come out here, execute, and of course just win.
Okay, and so each step as you move forward to those Olympic trials, 26 days away. What are your thoughts and what are your hopes and dreams about getting on that first team?
You know, it's of course been a dream of mine to go make the Olympic team and go for gold. You know, I'm confident in myself this year, and I think the way that I've been performing, things are looking good.
They are looking good. Congrats, Kenny.
Thank you.
Well, it is remarkable to think, isn't it? Kenny Harrison's 28. She hasn't been to an Olympics. Obviously, she had issues in the past as well, but certainly she's just churning out performance after performance after performance. She's the one to beat as it stands at the moment. Nia Ali, of course, pipped her to that world title in Doha, but Kenny Harrison is certainly letting everybody know that it's coming right for her at the right time as she chases that first Olympic Games appearance for the US. Just having a look at their Olympic qualifying standards, by the way. Ali Harrison and Chanel Brissett are the top three in that. In fact, Tonia Marshall has got exactly the same time as Brissett, but of course, having the standard is one thing. There are, I'm just scrolling down, Jenny, there are 21 US athletes who've got the standard in that event. But as we know, in the US, the standard often doesn't actually mean that much because you've got to do it on the day of the trials.
Yeah, and I think that women's sprint hurdles is the one event you don't want to be in if you're an American woman. It's so difficult, and you know, to think that she's never been to an Olympic Games is unbelievable, and she's a world record holder, 12:20. So I liked her interview actually. The overall thing was just to win the race. That's what she's done, consistency. Hopefully she can build on that.
Yeah, we think of other athletes like Tara Davis and Sydney McLaughlin, of course, has been running the 100 hurdles, but she'll be focusing on the 400. Sharika Nelbers, who isn't here today, Queen Clay, you know, some of those athletes as well. As we look at the men's overall world rankings standings, we spoke about the women's rankings earlier on. And at the moment, the man of the moment across all disciplines is Mondo Duplantis in the pole vault, just ahead of Noah Lyles. And again, those two with their age as well. They're attractive from a marketing point of view, aren't they? Karsten Warholm the same as well. You really at the top of the list there have got three of the biggest, brightest stars of men's athletics heading those standings.
Yeah, and I think you would expect Mondo Duplantis to be the top, but it was interesting to see Noah Lyles, you know, I want to say 10 points behind. So someone who's taking the event into, you know, new history with that pole vault, and Noah Lyles only being 10 points behind him just shows the caliber of athlete that he is.
Now this a little bit earlier on was the high school girls' dream 100 meters, and it went the way of Jasmine Montgomery in lane 5 to the left of the shot in 11.26, who was the state champion of Texas earlier on this month, 11.09. She's heading for the University of Oregon. So Jasmine Montgomery to the Adidas High School Dream 100 meters. And this was the high school boys' Dream 100 meters. And all the talk in advance was about the guy in the center, Jalen Slade, 17 years of age, and just about got it. Very tight on the dip there.
Next on the track is the men's 110-meter hurdles.
Well, I like the prize that they got. It's like a boxing belt, isn't it? I love that. They're the champion, and what a great experience for them, you know, high schoolers at that age, being able to take to the same track as these professional athletes. And it is called the high school dream, and I'm sure they're dreaming of competing on this track in a few years' time in these professional races.
Just to correct, actually, that was Jordan Anthony in the high school boys dream. That was my mistake. Jordan Anthony took the victory there from 10.45. Jalen Slade finished in 3rd position in the centre. Grant Holloway then, this is him breaking a long-standing men's 60-metre hurdles world record in Madrid on the World Indoor Tour. He broke the world record of Colin Jackson of Great Britain by quite some margin. And that performance in Madrid, which was 7.32, was a huge moment for the 23-year-old, who is the world champion, of course, over the extended 110 metres hurdles outdoors. He's the world leader this year with 13.07 from Gainesville in Florida. This is his debut at this event. He says he's always wanted to take part in this event, the Adidas Boost Boston Games. He actually tweeted that his biggest target for the meet was to get a photo with Daphne Skippers as part of the event build-up. Aries Merritt, the outdoor world record holder. So you've got the indoor world record holder next to the outdoor world record holder. Holloway at 23, Aries Merritt at 35, the 2012 Olympic champion. Looking to get himself back amongst it. Can he possibly make another major team? Milan Trajkovic, the world and Olympic finalist on the inside for Cyprus. Merritt's in 2, Grant Holloway's in 3. Shane Brathwaite, the Pan American champion, another world championship finalist, he's in 4. And Valdo Such, closest to the camera in lane 5, the New York-based Hungarian, who doesn't have the Olympic standard yet. You can't achieve Olympic standards in this event, unfortunately, because of the conditions, but he is in the top 40 at the moment in the world rankings, which could be crucial in his efforts to reach the Olympic Games for the first time. But Grant Holloway in the centre, the man at the moment. There's an interesting style on the start line as he crouches and takes the set position, as Brathwaite clatters a couple and Such does the same, but Holloway just as serene as Kelly Harrison was. Merritt's clattering hurdles, so is Trajkovic on the inside, but no problems for Grant Holloway, who dominates, lays down 13.20. Nobody else was able to put a race together there, but Grant Holloway, as he did in the World Championship final when it went wrong for others, he nailed it, 13.20.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has told Grant Holloway you're not supposed to make it look that easy. Everyone behind him were clattering hurdles, weren't they? And again, in that centre lane, just like Kenny Harrison, he just had such a smooth race. He wasn't the quickest to the first hurdle, but he was ahead by the second one. And hurdles going absolutely all over the place behind him as he manages just to pull away towards the end. And actually, his last couple of strides, he didn't need to drive for it. Well, there he is. He's just so quick, isn't he? That lead leg and the trail leg just comes round so quickly. He almost has to decelerate to get to those barriers, such a long stride length. And yeah, he looks like he's going to be the one to beat for certainly this season and beyond.
Yeah, those are the events where you think it's a real shame. People putting in performances like Miller Weibo, and particularly over the hurdles, it's a spectacular event to watch at the speed.
First of all, what did it mean to get that hug from Aries Merritt?
It meant a lot, you know. He's one of the mentors that I try to model myself over. Aries is like an older brother than me, so it feels good to always have him next to me. By the end of the day, I'm trying to have what he has.
Yeah, and your father right behind you watching, enjoying the meet. There he is. What's it like to have him here as well?
Man, it's remarkable, man. I love my family. I love everybody. That keeps me humble, keep me grounded. But like everybody says, job's not finished, so we're going to keep going to work.
Exactly. So those first 5 we know are great, world indoor record, and now the second 5. What were you working on there today?
Man, just come out here, execute at a very high level, and get better each and every week.
You have been doing that. You seem to be in a special window, Grant, okay? All the things you've accomplished so far, but there's another big prize out there. Where are you on the road to that potential berth to the Olympic Games? And, of course, everybody wants to see you at the top of the podium, at least if they're waving a U.S. flag.
Hey, you can keep doubting me. I'm going to just keep proving you wrong.
I'm not doubting you.
No, I hope not.
Me. Okay.
Hey, job's not finished, guys. God bless.
All righty. Thanks, Grant.
Well, if you look back at this, I mean, Holloway down the centre, it's almost like he was boxed off in his own race, wasn't it? Because Brathwaite smashes that one, then Such on the left smashes one. Aries Merritt coming up in a couple of hurdles time through him. So there you go, can throw himself completely. That then puts Trajkovic off on the inside, who hits the next 3. He nearly goes for a burn. He hits the last 4, actually, Trajkovic. But in the end, Grant Holloway just looking around. And you can hear the chaos going on, but when you're 3 or 4 metres ahead, thankfully, it doesn't really affect you too much, I'm sure.
And he said something that you hear a lot of athletes say, you know, they just want to execute the race. And a lot of people might think, what does that term mean? But of course you can do that in training in a non-pressured environment. But we can see how a lot of those guys just hit those hurdles. He's managing just to think about his own lane. He's just thinking about his own thing. And athletes do struggle sometimes just to transition the form that they have, especially in technical events, from training to competition. But he was the absolute master there.
Yeah, and it's a great point you make, Jenny, because you can train as much as you like, you can practice your starts as much as you like, you can practice your hurdling technique as much as you like, but there is absolutely no substitute whatsoever for competitive race sharpness. Whatever your event, or your field event, throw sharpness, whatever it is, vault sharpness, anything, that competitive, the juices are flowing, because that's the kind of pressure you'll be under when you are trying to achieve your goal, which will be, for all these athletes, Olympic medals or whatever. So yes, this event is different, but it serves a real purpose, and it's the reason that all the guys and girls out there are coming to take this opportunity to sharpen themselves up even this early in the summer, with trials probably, what, a month away now.
Yeah, and I've really enjoyed these US meets. There's been some real quality, and I'm really enjoying the Continental Tour as well, because, you know, such the caliber of athletes on this Gold Tour. It's just been so good to see them all compete against each other, go head to head, not be afraid to kind of have those early season matchups. And like you say, a lot of those national championships, which obviously are a double-header this year with Olympic trials, they're coming up, and they've been really important for a lot of athletes to obviously see where they are, compare themselves against those people that have been vying for spots on the Olympic team, as well as other people from other nations just trying to get those qualification marks. So really, really vital competition, and this tour, I've enjoyed it so much to watch some of those events unfold, and having 3 events in the US early season, it's been great to follow that kind of narrative against those athletes and see where they're heading towards those Olympic trials, of course.
And let's face it, the real reason you're enjoying the World Athletics Continental Tour Gold, Jen, is because you get to see me when we get to commentate on these events. I'm just giving you that script there for you to finish off with.
I'll not comment on that one, Chris.
And if anyone knows about what it takes to be prepared and to execute when it counts, is the lady you've been listening to, Jenny Meadows, World Indoor Silver Medalist from Doha, World Bronze Medalist from Berlin over the 800 metres, European Indoor Champion in Paris, European Silver Medalist, World and European Relay Medalist in the 4x4 as well. But this man is one of the men of the moment, and how good is it to see Wade van Niekerk back amongst it? He's going over the 200 metres here. Goodness me, what a couple of years he's had. That serious injury after the World Championships in 2017. As we see, that was his world record he set in Rio. The London 2017 title, successfully defending his title he won in Beijing, and then Bosch, a serious knee injury, did his ACL and his meniscus cartilage playing in a charity rugby match, and it has meant a change of coach recently, leaving Taniant Bota to move to Florida and join the Lance Brauman group, which he's only done this month. He's only joined up because of visa issues. The start of the month was when he landed in Florida to join up with his new group, which includes Noah Lyles and Shawnee Miller-Weibo and the like, because he wanted to join champions, those going for gold, those looking for world records. There's Zarnell Hughes, the European champion of Great Britain, also US-based, who, by all accounts, Jenny, whispers we're hearing is he is in terrific form as well.
We're looking forward to seeing him go on this one, and there's been whispers, can maybe he get under 20 seconds? So, yeah, we're less than a minute away from finding out.
So, Jaron Flournoy of the US on the inside, Zarnell Hughes in lane 2, ran a windy 1993 last month over 200. Van Niekerk then, be going over the 400 metres in Tokyo, all being well, but this over 200 metres. Jerome Blake of Canada's in 4, and Aldrich Bailey of the US is in lane 5. But all eyes on Wade van Niekerk. Well, it's his first race outside his native South Africa this year since landing in the US. Blake outside him going well. Zarnell Hughes looking good as well. It's Hughes from Van Niekerk at this stage as they move into the second half of the race. But now Van Niekerk just starts to edge his way in front. Jerome Blake's running well. He's outside. Van Niekerk's pulling up. Oh no! Wade Van Niekerk has pulled up tight on the line in the end. But the big story of that race, I'm afraid, is not the winner. It's that man, the world champion, Van Niekerk, hobbles over the line.
Oh, he was going so well, wasn't he? And of course, all the tension is going to be on Wade Van Niekerk. He was running really well against Blake and Hughes. We do have to say that the first two competitors there, it was Jerome Blake who took it in 19.89 seconds. It was a personal best. And the rumours were true about Zarnell Hughes, 19.93 in second place for a personal best. But that's where Van Niekerk just eases off there. And we've got to say he was right there with the other two guys who were running under 20 seconds. So I think if we need any confirmation that Wade Van Niekerk is in good shape, we had it. But let's see how he pulls up from this one.
Yeah, we had it for 150 metres, didn't we? Let's take nothing away from Jerome Blake, by the way, who's run a terrific 1989. A huge personal best for him over 200 metres. Yes, it's in a straight line, so not, I guess, on the regular books, if you like. But that is a huge performance from him to give him great confidence going towards the Canadian Olympic team. But Wade Van Niekerk, who said he was 100% fine, he said he's had no issues with regard to his previous problems, of course, as well. It was his right knee that was the problem, and it's his right leg that is the problem again there. So his coaching team around him, and that, well, a big build-up for the return of Wade Van Niekerk, but, I mean, that is not what anybody there wanted to see, and let's hope it's only a minor twinge. But anytime any athlete, particularly one who's had the problems that Wade Van Niekerk has had, has to pull up in a race, that's a hugely worrying time for him.
It looked like he did it really sensibly, though. You know, it wasn't one of those things where sometimes you look at an athlete and you feel like they look like they've been shot. You know, he didn't kind of jump in the air. So, yeah, I'm hoping it's something of nothing. He did seem to be pointing at his hip a little bit. So maybe he felt his hip and looked like he was limping with his calf a little bit. But, yeah, fingers crossed they can sort that one out quickly.
I suppose in a way you've got to give Wade Van Niekerk credit for coming to an event like this where things aren't quite normal. You know, the track isn't the same as he'll be running on, but of course you have got to get to start some competitive races in your legs as we talk about race sharpness, and interesting timing as well, isn't it, for him to change his whole setup, move to the US in May of an Olympic year in August, Jenny.
Yeah, but we did talk about, his mindset, and he wants to be around those professional athletes day in and day out. And if we think about Zarnell Hughes, he's based over in Kingston in Jamaica, coached by the same coaches of Usain Bolt, Johan Blake, so he's used to that. And I guess, after that time out, Van Niekerk, maybe he just needs a little bit more, motivation. He needs to, not be on a track on his own, trying to break records, that 43.03 that he did obviously a few years ago. He probably wants to be around a professional group and kind of experience that on a daily basis. So I'm sure it's a decision he's took a long time to work out, and I saw him there talking to Lance Brownman, and they looked like they got on really well. I think I saw on social media as well, Noah Lyles posted a picture, and their training group is a phenomenal group of athletes.
Group. Yeah, what a group.
What a group to be involved in. So, yeah, fingers crossed that's just a little bit of, something of nothing, and he can get it sorted in a week or two, because we'd love to see him back in personal best shape. He spoiled us several years ago, of course, but great to see him still involved in the sport, and he did look like he was in sub-20 shape, so great.
It's not been a great week for 400-metre medal contenders, is it? Because the world champion Stephen Gardner fell earlier on in the week at Fort Worth in a meeting with about 10 metres to go over 400 metres, just fell flat on his face in the closing stages. So not a great week for Stephen Gardner and Wade Van Niekerk, the last two world champions. The likes of Michael Norman, Fred Curley, the resurgent Karani James will all be watching on, I'm sure, with interest. But we move on from that. Hopefully some positive news from Wade Van Niekerk as a result of all that, and it's not too serious, because this is the women's 100 metres. Daphne Skippers lines up in the centre. Maril Ahure, the world indoor champion, is just shielded by our camera colleague there, but between Ahure and Skippers is the bright young American Gabby Thomas. 200 metres probably her forte rather than 100. Set a PB over 200 of 22.17. She has taken on a few 100 meters this season already. She's been in the mid 11-second regions. Aaliyah Hobbs on her inside as well. She's gone sub 11 this season. 10.91 she posted in Baton Rouge back in April, the 2018 US champion. Right on the inside is the Olympic and World Relay medalist Morelake Akinosun of the USA. She's been running consistently low 11 seconds as well. This is her 7th 100 meters of the season already, Akinosun, so she has been busy. But with the backdrop of the Trinity Church in Boston, our penultimate event of the Boston Boost Games, Adidas Boost Boston Games, as we see Noah Lyles just going through one or two of his warm-ups for the men's 100 meters, which he qualified for the final of earlier on. That world lead time of Sha'Carri Richardson, 10.72. Of course, running very good conditions. She was pipped in the Wonder Diamond League earlier on by Dina Asher-Smith of Great Britain in conditions that wouldn't have suited Sha'Carri Richardson, I think it's fair to say. Wind and rain. Just a bit of a breeze. The thunderstorms that might have been forecast haven't arrived, thankfully, as we see Aaliyah Hobbs close up. And again, as we said, the sprint teams for the US athletes, just so difficult to get in. Morelake Akinosun has a world gold medal to her name from the 2017 Olympics and a bronze from the 2019 Olympic World Championships, I should say, in both cases in the relay. Best of 10.95 set in 2016. Aaliyah Hobbs just outside her lifetime best then this season with that 10.91. Daphne Skippers, two-time world champion, 2017 and 15, over the 200 meters. Second in the Rio Olympics behind Elaine Thompson-Herah. Daphne Skippers, who's had a busy circuit over the course of the last few weeks. Gabby Thomas then. PBs in the season already indoors and out, over 60 meters, 200 meters and 300 meters. So she's shown a great range. Already sounds like there's a few Gabby Thomas fans have snuck in from somewhere. Even though this event is not open to spectators, Gabby Thomas seemed to have some vocal support on the sidelines. And there's Muriel Ahure, 33 years of age now, the world indoor champion over 60 meters. And this is her 2021 season opener. Represents the Ivory Coast, of course, but her family moved to the US when she was 14. Ranked number 6 in the world over 100 meters. So two athletes who know what it's all about at the top level. Skippers in 3 and Ahure in 5. But Gabby Thomas, it's a real test for her over 100 meters. A shorter distance between those two. Akinosun on the far side, lane 1, the women's 100 meters final. Hobbs in 2, Skippers 3, Thomas 4, and Ahure 5. Our penultimate track event of the Adidas Boost Boston Games on the World Athletics Continental Tour Gold. Live wherever you're watching us around the world. So Ahure, we know she's a good starter from her 60-meter prowess, and she's got out very well, but Gabby Thomas has also gone well through the early part of the race, and Hobbs too, and it's probably just Hobbs at this stage from Thomas, and Hobbs, I think, gets there. 11.05, the winning time for Aaliyah Hobbs, who put together a good race there. Gabby Thomas started brightly, but in the end, pegged back to second, 11.16, ahead of Akinosun, 11.17, and in the end, the two with the top-level experience, Skippers and Ahure, finished 4 and 5.
Well, it's really difficult to get in these US women's relay teams, isn't it? And I think this year is going to be no different. We're looking at Hobbs there. She was in lane 2. We're just seeing the start once again. Skippers in the middle lane. Hobbs in 2. Thomas in 4. And it was Hobbs who seemed to start really well from the beginning. She does prefer the 100 meters rather than the 200 meters. And it was the 100-meter specialist who took that in the end. She was part of that US winning 4x 100-meter team in the World Championships.
But just a little bit of a grimace on the face of Aaliyah Hobbs with about 20 meters to go there. Did she pull up slightly after the line as well? Yeah, I hope she's okay, Aaliyah Hobbs. It just felt like there was just a little grimace that came across her face there. And of course, you're in that difficult catch-22. Van Niekerk called it a day with 20 meters to go, but Aaliyah Hobbs saw it through. It's a good win. And let's hope that grimace wasn't anything to worry about from her point of view. So Noah Lyles getting himself ready for the men's 100 metres final, drawn in the middle. He did tweet this week saying he was going to stop competing in socks. They look like socks to me, Jenny.
I saw that as well, and I didn't know what to make of it. I actually thought, is that a little tongue-in-cheek, or I still don't know what to make of it. But
I don't either, but
I presume it was a joke because he's still got the socks. Why would you change a winning formula?
It seems a strange thing to announce as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know he's become famous for his socks, but unless they're a different type of socks, maybe. Let's have a look when he comes back into shot. But he's certainly become, you know, we talk about the characters and the flair, and often sometimes, you know, top-level athletes in all kinds of sport, because we only ever hear interviews and things where they don't want to give much away. Sometimes they can be accused of being a bit too sterile, and you need guys like Noah Lyles and Armando Duplantis and others, you know, similar. Sha'Carri Richardson already is, you know, making headlines for some of the things she says and tweets. And it gets the sport in the headlines, it gets people talking about it, social media these days as well. Well, it looks like to me, Jen, they're different types of socks. They look like they're cut off at the ankle, so maybe he's left himself a bit of wriggle room in his spikes.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll try it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the calf socks. So I think he has ditched the comedy socks, and he put an array of pictures on, didn't he? The ones that he's wore over the years, and yeah, I didn't even know whether someone had stolen his phone and decided just to tweet that, one of his friends or something. But yeah, I always think, why change a winning formula? But I'm sure there's a reason for it. They look a little bit more professional, I think, than his comedy socks normally. So maybe that's just a sign of needing something to obviously help him. Maybe he's been suffering with his calf, something like that. So they could be compression socks more than anything else. But yeah, I'm glad you saw that, Chris. It definitely didn't escape my attention either.
We deal with all the big issues here on the World Athletics Continental Tour Gold, that is for sure. And Noah Lyles' socks right up there. But let's talk about his performance earlier on. 10.03 in, as we say, unusual conditions. When we say unusual, you know, that's not to absolutely not do down the conditions, because the track is obviously world class. It's a world class Mondo track, and everything is to certain specifications to make this a top level Continental Tour Gold meet. But it isn't the same, of course, as running in a stadium. That the wind conditions will be different because it's much more exposed, and all those other reasons why things can be a bit different. So a 10.03 clocking earlier on for Noah Lyles in the centre of this 5-man field. His 100-metre clockings already this year, 10.08 with a tailwind in Gainesville. 10.28 and 10.17 into headwinds in Eugene. And of course, he came through against Kenny Bednarek in 1990 in Mount Sac in the 200 metres. So no sub-10 clocking yet for Noah Lyles, and there's quite a few guys who have gone sub-10 this season. That's a psychological barrier, isn't it, when you're a man with the standards that he's got?
Yeah, and I'm sure he'll be wanting to get that sub-10. You know, sub-20 in the 200 metres. We've already seen two guys do that, of course, today, so I'm sure he's had one eye on that. That is the distance he won the World Championships at in Doha 2 years ago now. But there we can see the world lead. Bromwell has got 9.88, and yeah, sub 10 seconds for a world champion like him. It's just what we expect, isn't it?
Wade, as he walked back to the hotel, Lance said that he got a little tight in his right hip, and Wade decided not to push through the rest of the run, and he said that was the right decision. But he assured me that Wade would be okay, so we can maybe hope for the best for him as well. Okay.
So a little update there from Lewis Johnson. So as you spotted, Jen, hopefully a hip issue and nothing to do with his right knee that was the big problem previously.
Oh, well, yeah, let's hope so. I was trying to read the body language, and he was pointing to his hips. So I do think there was no grimace on his face. He didn't pull up. He just eased off the pace. You know, he still ran, I think, 20.8 seconds, which is ridiculous, really, when he didn't really run the last 20 metres. So, yeah, great to have that update on him.
So there's Noah Lyles then, who's in lane 3. His brother Josephus is in lane 1. This is the final, remember, from 2 heats earlier on. Jalen Bacon will go in 2. Noah Lyles in 3. Isaiah Young is in 4. And Nickel Ashmead is in lane 5. Our final event of the Adidas Boost Boston Games. You can see the real life, if you like, going on Boylston Street behind the athletes. But here's Josephus Lyles with that 10.26 lifetime best that he set this year. That was in Gainesville in Florida in April. Some good early season form for him. Hasn't quite managed to go on from that. Did run, in fact, he equaled it over 100 metres in Gainesville. There's Jalen Bacon, that PB of 9.97. Goes back to 2018. 10.18 this season. Noah Lyles, that 10.03 he ran earlier on is his season's best performance. Pippin, the 10.08 he ran in Gainesville in April. PB from 9.86 from Shanghai in 2019 in the Diamond League, the 200 meters world champion. Isaiah Young, 10.15 to win his heat earlier on to qualify. 9.99 for him in Mount Sac on the Continental Tour Gold. And on the outside, the same lane that in fact, the outside lane he had earlier on as well. Nickel Ashmead, Olympic and world relay champion with a powerful Jamaican squad. Looking to find himself back towards major championship form potentially. Jamaican sprinting just going through a little bit of a transitional period at the moment. We saw Johan Blake in action earlier on as well. So Noah Lyles then, 10.03 earlier on in the heat. Just over an hour and 10 minutes or so's turnaround for him into the final. His brother Josephus is on the inside, Jalen Bacon in 2, Noah Lyles in 3, Isaiah Young in 4, and Nickel Ashmead in 5 as the young volunteers take their place to keep the blocks in place for these powerful sprinters. Our final event of the Adidas Boost Boston Games 2021. So Noah Lyles with the benefit of that centre lane, but Isaiah Young was out much better, and it's Isaiah Young at the moment, and Noah Lyles has got to come from behind here, and he's not going to do it. Isaiah Young takes it in 9.94. Superb performance from Isaiah Young. All the talk about Noah Lyles, but Isaiah Young says, I'm taking Boston, thank you very much. 9.94.
Well, he looked impressive in the heat earlier, I thought, and his personal best dates back to 3 years ago now, 9.92. So almost in career best form, and I don't actually think that was a big surprise. Noah Lyles has been beaten over this distance a couple of times already this season. But here we see this is the beginning, and it was Young who got out really quick there in lane 4. Just get another opportunity to see that. And he was just out, and he was up running really, really quickly from the start. Lyles does normally come through towards the end of the race, and we did see he was just starting to build his momentum, and he was gaining slightly as we came into the last 20 metres or so. But Young, he is that 100-metre specialist. 9.94, that's one of the fastest times in the world, in fact, this year.
Well, that's a great performance from Isaiah Young. 10.10 for Noah Lyles in second place, Ashmead 10.17, Josephus Lyles 10.19, a personal best in fourth place, improving that 10.26. And Jalen Bacon 10.21 in fifth. But as you say, Jen, in terms of the performances this year, let's hear from Isaiah Young.
Off to the side. So what do you think, man? Just really close to your personal best here on the streets of Boston.
Well, I mean, the weather and the track gave it to us, and the fans. I'm just grateful that I'm healthy, and I thank my coach for putting me in this great position to come out here and execute and do the things I was able to do today.
And execution will be the key in just under 30 days at the Olympic trials, right? It's coming.
We was just talking about that in warm-up here. It was like, man, trials are right around the corner. So everybody's just trying to put some race together before we get there. And yeah, we're just going to show up, and everybody's going to be ready. So we got to be ready, too.
Looks like you will be ready. Isaiah, congrats. Way to close us out here.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
Okay, Paul?
Thank y'all. Thanks, Boston.
Well, Isaiah Young has gone tied third on the 2021 list. Only Trayvon Bromell with 9.88, and Fred Curley, who of course turned in that eye-catching 9.91, the 400-meter man. 9.94 puts him equal third with Ronnie Baker, Javon Martin, and Totliso Leila as well, the South African. So right up there at the head of the list as we see the roll of honor from today's Adidas Boost Boston Games. Shan Sama was an impressive winner earlier on. Grant Holloway was super serene, as was Kenny Harrison in the 100 and 110 metres hurdles, respectively. Shauna Miller-Weibo looked disappointed with 22.08. That's the standards that she's setting herself at the moment. The men's 200 metres, of course, there was a superb performance from Jerome Blake to take it in 1989. The worry was Wade Van Niekerk and his big US return, pulling up the world record holder over 400 metres. But we heard an update from our colleagues, including Lewis Johnson, who said Lance Brown would have reported a minor issue with Van Niekerk's hip and that's why he decided to shut it down, and hopefully not a serious problem. But a great way to finish with that performance from Isaiah Young, which puts him right in the thick of the action for the US Olympic team. Of course, relay spots up for grabs as well, but the individual 100 meters is going to be fascinating, as it is for so many teams across so many countries over the next month. As Isaiah Young said himself, trials are coming pretty quickly. This was the superb effort we saw from the team putting the track together. Shamir Little, well, she was turned over. She's the in-form athlete in the 400 meters hurdles, but Shian Salmon on the right of shot, the Jamaican, she had too much in the opening event, the women's 200 meters hurdles straight. Clayton Murphy, he took the men's mile, as did Nikki Hiltz in the women's mile. A comfortable victory in the end in a new personal best over the road mile. The men's 200 meters hurdles in a straight line went to the late finishing Alison dos Santos of Brazil, who timed it to perfection, using his familiar strength in the latter stages of the race to come through in the final couple of strides there. Natoya Gould turned over Ajay Wilson in the women's 600 meters. Lena Irby was also an impressive winner in the women's 150 meters, holding off Brittany Brown. Marco Arop taking advantage of the absence of others to hold off a field. He led from gun to tape. Fine performances too in the 200 meters in a straight line, as we saw Shawnee Miller-Weibo easing to victory in at 22.08, with a lot more still to come, targeting the 200 meters, remember, in Tokyo this time round. The world record holder in the women's 100 meters hurdles, Kenny Harrison, she laid it down and no one got near her in the women's 100 meters, continuing her consistent form. Grant Holloway was faultless, peerless, didn't see another rival. Race is unraveled for everybody else, but Holloway through the line, superb, congratulated by his family. Keep an eye on Wade van Niekerk in the centre. He was going well for 150 metres or so with the 200, but here is where he decided to shut it down. Zarnell Hughes and Blake, either side of him, pushed it through, and Blake in the end took the victory with that 19.89 clocking, Jerome Blake for Canada. The women's 100 metres went the way of Aaliyah Hobbs, who held off Gabby Thomas. And Noah Lyles choosing the 100 metres to get himself some race sharpness over the distance, turning in a 10.03 and a 10.10 on the day. So two excellent performances, but in the end, the impressive standout character was Isaiah Young with that 9.94 to take the men's 100 metres. But certainly some encouragement, I'm sure, to take for Noah Lyles. Of course, the 200 metres, his main event, aiming to double up in Tokyo. For myself, Chris Temple and Jenny Meadows from the Adidas Boost Boston Games, it's goodbye.